The First Punic War and the Battle of Ecnomus 264–241 BC. The Battle of Ecnomus was more than just the largest naval engagement in recorded history, it was the beginning of Rome's final push to conquer the ancient world. The war, orchestrated through the careful manipulation of events in Messana, was not just about land or power. The hidden elites knew that to complete their ancient destructive task, they would have to dismantle Carthage, the last stronghold of knowledge and influence from the world before the fall of Assyria. Although history portrays the Mamertines' seizure of Messana as the spark that ignited the First Punic War, the truth is far more intricate and reflects the machinations of the Roman elite. For years, Messana had been a contested territory, previously under Carthaginian control. The Carthaginians fought fiercely against the Spartan allies, particularly the Syracusans, during the Peloponnesian Wars, establishing a hard-won dominance in the region. In a strategic coup orchestrated by the hidden Roman oligarchs, Agathocles was installed as a puppet leader in Messana. Although he served the Mamertines and was employed by them before his death, he was ultimately a pawn of Roman interests, masquerading as a man of the people while advancing the agenda of his foreign benefactors. His rise effectively displaced the Carthaginians from the city, allowing Roman influence to take root and destabilize the region further. With Agathocles' death, the Mamertines, now under immense pressure from Carthage as they attempted to regain control of the area and Messana, turned to Rome for assistance. Their plea presented the Romans with a convenient pretext to intervene militarily. By seizing control of Messana, they not only provoked Carthage but also dismantled the fragile equilibrium that had allowed Sicily to remain a contested yet relatively peaceful crossroads for centuries. This calculated series of events, driven by the Roman oligarchs, marked the inception of a brutal conflict that would reshape the Mediterranean. The First Punic War was not merely a clash of empires but a desperate struggle for survival, as Carthage valiantly fought to defend its ancient heritage against the relentless advance of Roman ambition. The ensuing conflict spiraled out of a seemingly small dispute into a full-scale war for the control of the Mediterranean. Carthage, the ancient Phoenician empire steeped in knowledge and history, now faced Rome, an aggressive, expansionist force determined to reshape the world in its image. The time-worn traditions of Carthage, including the ancient worship of Baal, stood in stark contrast to Rome's merciless ambition. Where Carthage sought to protect its ancient secrets, Rome sought to erase them from history. In the year 256 BC, the Mediterranean Sea shimmered under the sun as the sun began its descent, casting golden hues over the waves that crashed against the shores of Sicily. On this fateful day, the great Carthaginian fleet prepared for one of the most significant naval confrontations in history, the Battle of Ecnomus. The air was thick with tension, a palpable mixture of hope and dread, as Hamilcar Barca, the Carthaginian commander, surveyed his ships. His fleet, a formidable force of approximately 350 vessels, was ready to defend the ancient city of Carthage and its legacy against the relentless advance of the Roman Republic. The Romans, under the command of Regulus Marcus Attilius and his co-commander Lucius Manlius Vulso, had amassed around 330 ships, eager to crush their rival and expand their dominion over the Mediterranean. Carthage was not merely a city, it was a bastion of ancient wisdom and culture, a guardian of traditions that had flourished for centuries. Hamilcar understood that this battle was not just about military supremacy but about preserving the heritage of his people against the insatiable greed of the Roman elite, who sought to erase everything that Carthage stood for. The Carthaginian fleet formed a strong battle line, determined to engage the Romans head-on. Hamilcar's strategy was to encircle the enemy and strike with the ferocity of a coiled serpent. As the two fleets closed in, the Mediterranean roared in fury, waves crashing against the hulls of the ships, as if nature itself sensed the magnitude of the impending conflict. With a signal from Hamilcar, the battle commenced. Carthaginian ships surged forward, ramming their bronze prows into the Roman vessels, aiming to inflict devastating damage. The Carthaginian sailors were seasoned and skilled, their movements a graceful dance honed by years of experience. They struck fiercely, seeking to maintain the momentum of the attack. But Regulus, a man known for his iron will, countered with his own strategy. The Romans had developed the corvus, a boarding device that allowed them to turn naval skirmishes into brutal hand-to-hand combat, where their legionaries excelled. As the Carthaginians tried to board, Roman soldiers swarmed onto their decks, turning the battle into a chaotic melee. The Roman warriors, clad in armor, fought with discipline and ferocity, their training coming to the forefront as they clashed with the Carthaginian crews. Hamilcar, witnessing the relentless Roman assault, knew he had to act swiftly. In the midst of the chaos, he barked orders, urging his captains to maintain formation and resist the encroaching Roman tide. But as the battle raged on, Hamilcar's plan began to falter. The Carthaginian ships, though initially successful in their assaults, started to suffer from the Roman corvus tactics. One by one, Carthaginian vessels were boarded, their crews caught in a vicious fight for survival. The Roman fleet pressed on, relentless in their pursuit of victory, determined to break the spirit of Carthage once and for all. Hamilcar, aware that the fate of his beloved city hung in the balance, fought valiantly to rally his forces. The sea churned with blood and despair as the cries of the dying filled the air. The once vibrant colors of Carthaginian sails dulled as smoke and carnage enveloped the battlefield. The Mediterranean, once a witness to the glories of Carthage, now bore witness to its desperate struggle against the Roman invaders. Despite their valor, the Carthaginian fleet was outmatched. The Romans exploited every weakness, launching a coordinated attack that sought to divide and conquer, striking for the center of the Carthaginian fleet. In the heart of the battle, Hamilcar's flagship became a focal point of the conflict. He fought on with unmatched courage, inspiring his men to hold their ground even as the Roman forces encircled them. The Romans, emboldened by their success, pressed forward with a ferocity that left no room for retreat. Carthaginian vessels were being sunk left and right, their crews drowning in the depths of the sea they once called home. The desperate attempts of the Carthaginians to maintain their formation crumbled under the weight of Roman numbers. Hamilcar's dream of encircling the Romans transformed into a nightmare as he realized the reality of their situation. The Romans had gained the upper hand, their ships coordinating flawlessly, cutting through the remnants of Carthaginian resistance. With a heavy heart, the great leader witnessed the defeat of his fleet. The mighty Carthaginian warships, once symbols of power and culture, now lay in ruins, splintered and sinking beneath the waves. The cries of his comrades rang in his ears as he fought to rally the few ships that remained. As the sun set on the battle, casting a blood-red glow over the smoking ruins and despair, the spirit of Carthage endured. Though defeated at Ecnomus, the legacy of an ancient civilization would not be extinguished so easily. Hamilcar understood that the struggle was far from over. Carthage had lost a battle, but its fight for survival, its resistance against the forces that sought to consume its history, would continue. The fire of their heritage would not be snuffed out, for even in defeat, they were warriors, and Carthage would rise again, but for now, the defeat had opened the door to the Roman invasion of North Africa. With the destruction of Carthage's fleet, Rome was now one step closer to destroying the knowledge and traditions that Carthage had safeguarded for centuries. But while the battle had been lost, the war was far from over. In the years that followed, Carthage would rise again under new leadership. Soon Hannibal, Hamilcar's son, would march his army and his elephants right into the heart of Rome itself.